Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and today I'm back with another video here. And if you're new to the channel or new clicking upon this video, my name is Chris. I do Flyers content here on YouTube from game reviews like this one. I've done watch parties. I have a new show coming up this Tuesday. A lot of different stuff coming, and again, if you like how any of that sounds, hit the subscribe button down below. So the Flyers pick up a 5-2, which was really a 5-1 win over the Buffalo Sabres with the last goal with 0.4 of a second left for Victor Olofsson. In a really good game. OWEN TIPPETT with a hat trick starts this game with 18 goals, finishes with 21. He now could get 25 for end of the season. It looked like he was going to get around like 20, 22-ish for the year. He easily can get 4 goals for the rest of the season for the Flyers. He's been great this season. Obviously, that was the main bright spot tonight. Carter Hart was good in this one as well. Not too many shots in this game, really for either team. Up until really, the third period where Buffalo had, shot after shot after shot because it was kind of just garbage time at that point. Sabres in with 38 shots. A lot of that was power play, and obviously just, being in the third, they were still down by a lot of goals. Second period was great for the Flyers. Lines in this one were a little different. Lawton, Cates, and Tippett, Farabee, Hayes, and Forrester, Lemieux with Frost and Van Riemsdyk, Delorier with Legzinski and Allison, Sandheimer, Stalainen, Provorov and York, Sealer and D'Angelo, and Carter Hart was in net, like I mentioned. So first period was back and forth early. The Flyers had a 3-on-1. The Sabres had some chances. Tuck with a chance, 3-on-1, like I mentioned. Hayes had a shot that went off the blocker of Anderson. Then the Sabres get the game's first power play, penalty on Delorier in the offensive zone. And, there were a couple plays where the Flyers were kind of like standing still, and really Buffalo was too. There wasn't much movement for their first power play. Hart had a couple nice saves in tight. Had one on Dahlin as well. And then Sealer had a clear, and the Flyers ended up killing that one off. Lawton with a chance off the rush. Really nice pass by Tippett. It seemed like Lawton, the more I was thinking about these lines as the game was starting, and I talked about the lines a little bit in the last game review against Vegas, how really the lines really are going to stay or similar for the rest of the season, right? I mean, the only really, they only have a couple more call-ups left. It's going to be Forrester, who's going to ended up, being sent down for the Phantoms in the playoff push. And that's really it. Like, there isn't going to be anything else. It's going to be the same guys. This is the time to try to find any sort of line or type of combination that you could try to maybe look at. Example, last season they had Cates with Frost and Tippett. It actually worked out really well. They had the great game against the Penguins last year in the 4-1 win at home. And that was, this, I believe, second or third to last game of the season. So there's little things like that. And, I thought Lawton and Tippett had a lot of good chemistry tonight, and it showed early. Hart had a really nice save on Greenway, then a nice save on Krebs off the rush a couple minutes later. Flyers get a power play, and they score. It was really good puck movement. Forrester, I've liked the addition of him because just, it's first of all, it's another look, right? It's another guy that you could look to on the power play. Obviously has the shot. He has some pretty good hands. Again, it was a good power play. They had D'Angelo kind of move in and stuff, and they get it back out and tip it with a beautiful shot. 1-0 Flyers. Really nice play. York had a really nice play on Thompson. York had a lot of good plays tonight. I thought York had a good game. He made this play here, and there's another one in the second period that I'll get to in a little bit. And Farabee makes it 2-0 Flyers. Early in the second period, he gets his first goal since January 9th, which was against Buffalo. So 2 goals in 2 games against the Sabres for Farabee, and in between a 27-game drought. Obviously hasn't been great this season because he's been dealing with everything. That's his 10th goal of the year. And that's also Forster's first NHL point, who he's really has deserved one. He had chances to score in this game, had the 2-on-1 on this play exactly that ended up going wide too. A couple chances for the Flyers had for that as well. Forrester had a shot on net. Hayes with a slap shot chance. Farabee had a one-timer off a really nice pass from Hayes. I thought Hayes had a good game too. Again, the period overall was good, right? You had a couple good plays from your defenseman moving the puck out. They really didn't give Buffalo much. They only had a handful of shots, that being the Sabres in the second period. And overall, York, again, this play here, really nice play on Tuck. Because like, the one thing that York does, and I said this before, his gap control. His gap control is really good when forwards come out of the zone, and he has some time to kind of read the play. And when when you see Tuck, who's a longer guy, right? He's got big stride. He's big physical dude. He skates by, and York gets all the way down on the ice and just puts his stick right down to block the puck. It was a really nice play overall, and it's just little things like that York's been able to do for the Flyers that have been able to help. Lyubushkin ends up hitting the post. 3-0. Tippett scores. Beautiful shot. Really nice pass from Hayes. It didn't even look like it went in. I thought it hit the post, and I was like, is that in? And it obviously ended up being a goal, so 20th of the year. Van Riem's like 4-0. Really nice play. Lawton again, kind of holding, waiting. JVR slam dunk at the side of the net. It was a scrum at the end of the period. Delorier gets a 10-minute misconduct, 2 for roughing on Allison and Sealer, and Okposo and Krebs for Buffalo. Third period, it kind of carried over. Like, again, the Flyers did a good job in the second of shutting down, Buffalo's top guys like Tuck, guys like Thompson, guys like Skinner, who's even had a good season for them, Dylan Cousins, right? And it felt very similar to the game in Buffalo that the Flyers played, because you were able to shut down those guys, right? And again, remember that game, was added to the schedule. It was supposed to be in this month, supposed to be a game in March, got moved up, and, the Flyers ended up going and playing that. That game was actually supposed to be on March 4th. The Flyers would have had it back-to-back, which would have been in Buffalo Saturday, and then Detroit on the 5th, which was at home. They ended up playing that game, but the game that was Buffalo, which was played in January, was moved up. So it ended up being a back-to-back just earlier in the season, and the Flyers, they had a really good first period. They were up 3-0, and they kind of just carried it out, and Sam Ersing got his first shutout. And this one, very similar, right? You had a pretty good first period back and forth, and then you have a really dominant period. You score 3 goals in the second, and you added to that in the third, and the power play for Buffalo gets them on the board. Olofsson scores. It was a really nice shot. I mean, not much Hart could do there. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great shot. I mean, sometimes you just have to tip your cap. And at that point, it was early in the third, and the Flyers get it right back. Tippett scores. Beautiful. Beautiful goal from Tippett on the breakaway. And the one thing I liked was he didn't just go backhand. It looked like kind of like a half backhand toe drag. And that really can fool a goaltender when you're moving that fast. Because Tippett, they've showed it before on the broadcast, he goes up to 22, 23, sometimes 24 miles an hour. That's insane, and how fast he gets just on that first 3 steps is crazy. And when you can do that at that speed, that shows that there's something special. And again, they mentioned on TV, and I've even noticed it too. The amount of shots he's had. He had 8 shots against Pittsburgh. He had 23 shots in the last 4 games going into this one, and you kind of knew he was due for a goal. So again, to get a hat trick tonight, and for the Flyers to end up winning this game, and stealing 2 pretty important points from the Sabres, who are in a really close wild card spot in the East at the moment. Because again, like I've talked about, the East standings are just insane. If you're looking at the Malone and the wild card, you have Pittsburgh with 68 games played, 78 points. The Islanders with 70 games played, 78 points. Buffalo, who was going into tonight with 72, they now still have 72. And Washington as well, they ended up having a stinker tonight against St. Louis. And it seems like they lost that game 5-2. So not the best game for either of those teams who were, fighting for a spot, and the Flyers able to steal 2 points. So again, really nice game from Tippett. Again, and this is what I'm talking about, and I'll talk about this on the show on Tuesday, is, these games are still meaningful if you can find little things like that. Obviously it's later in the year, right? You're not in a spot, but again, for guys playing for contracts, for guys that are very important for next year, right? Guys like Frost, guys like Cates, Tippett, York, so many other different guys, right? There's different little things that you can find. And for Tippett tonight, really nice game. Just a good game all around. I thought the Flyers played pretty good on Tuesday. Obviously not good enough. Had some things that kind of, bit them in the behind a little bit, and tonight they didn't really do that much. So a good game overall, and you pick up a 5-2 win at home. So back at it again tomorrow against Carolina. At home, Flyers just played them, lost 1-0. And that was a pretty good game too. Sandstrom was really good in that one, and obviously the Canes don't have Svechnikov anymore because of the ACL injury, which is so unfortunate. But thanks everybody so much for all the support. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you enjoyed watching this video, and I will talk to you all again soon.